to another episode of Beer for Breakfast ABV. I am Danielle from The Moog Show. As always, I have my beer drinking partner in crime with me, Paul Seguro from Karl Strauss.
Aloha.
And we have a brand spanking new brewery with us today. Actually, the only brewery in Lemon Grove. We have 13 Point with us today. We've got Bob and we've got Robert. Welcome,
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers. Good to have you guys.
Thanks for coming on.
So we're drinking a blonde now. We're kind of pre-gaming with the blonde.
Pre-gaming the blonde.
Yes, it's the Lemon Grove Basic Blonde.
Ah,
yes, the LG.
There are many of those out there.
Yes.
In Lemon Grove, the basic blondes.
In San Diego in general.
It's a good beer to start with, kind of cleansing the palate from whatever we had, toothpaste.
Yeah,
or whatever.
toothpaste. It was for me.
Yeah. So it comes in just shy of 5%. So
Yes.
you've got a little bit behind it, but nothing that you can have many of these and
Absolutely.
not embarrass yourself going down Broadway.
It could be dangerous on the lawnmower, but
Yeah.
keep
You
your
know what I
hands
like
on the
about
wheel.
this beer is you guys probably make a lot of converts to craft beer with this beer.
That was kind of the point of it, being where we are is, kind of an untapped area,
Yeah.
pun intended. There's a lot of new people to it. People are just excited that there's something to do in Lemon Grove besides go to restaurants and then go home.
And not to, give like the total how the sausage is made, but a very prominent person in the beer scene kind of guided you guys towards making a blonde.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we get
The
people coming
guru.
in all the time asking, you guys have a Pilsner or something light, and we give them this, and they're happy.
So Robert, Paul, can you...
Shout out to Kobe Chandler, by the way.
Thank you, Colby.
Thank you, Cole.
Robert and Paul. Robert as the head brewer over at 13 Point. Paul as my beer guru, my beer master,
Beer
brewmaster,
Sherpa.
He's
beer
a beer
Sherpa,
Sherpa.
all
He
of that.
carries all the weight.
Can you give me just the difference between a Pilsner and a blonde? Or are they the same thing?
Actually, Pilsner is probably lagered, and blondes don't need to be. You could use Chico yeast or any ale yeast on a blonde.
Takes less time.
Yeah, they go quicker, and few people can actually tell the difference. I mean, blondes might have a little bit more fruitiness,
Right.
and Pilsners are usually cleaner, slightly crisp.
Yep.
Yeah, subtle differences between the two.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to me that after 30 years of craft beer in San Diego, people are still kind of walking in to places like yours and saying, "Give me your lightest beer,"
Lightest
or "What do
possible,
you
yeah.
have that's close to Budweiser?"
I drink
Exactly.
Coors Light or something like that. What do you got near that? Well, I have nothing like that. But this is gonna get right in there. Yeah. Yes. I've got something better that's got more flavor, but you should like it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, all of us are continuing to all of us combined are 20% of the beer that's sold.
Right.
So anything that we can do to increase that pool.
Take an extra beer out of there.
And this is a great beer.
Thanks.
I mean, aside from being close to, or that sort of entry level thing, the beer itself stands alone as a very drinkable. It's got flavor.
Yes,
I mean,
people are...
for a lighter
It's
beer.
as simple as it is. It's just what it is. It's just.
Well,
it's
we have
beer.
regulars that come in and they just drink this, and they come in
But take
nearly every day.
2 crowlers home with them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about your regulars, how has the reception been to you guys opening up in Lemon Grove? I mean, there has not yet to be a brewery in Lemon Grove. You're the first one. Is everybody digging it? Are they kind of like, who are these guys?
They're digging it. We've got
super digging it.
We've got people that actually work in the beer industry that live in Lemon Grove, and they're like, "Great, we got a watering hole right around the corner from our house, right down the street from our apartment." And it's
So this
been,
proves a point that I've been making for a while. With 170 breweries in San Diego, people are saying,
Saturated.
when's this right? Are we too saturated, or is this bubble going to burst at some point? And I've been saying there's still not a small neighborhood brewery in each neighborhood.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of these neighborhoods could support.
Yeah, it's like Germany or Europe in general. There's every neighborhood's kind of got their own pub or their own brew, and they all go to those beers. They venture out, I'm sure, but they've got their own spot.
Well, and I pour beer over at Thorn Street in North Park, and talk about like a very neighborhood brewery. And as someone who works at a neighborhood brewery, it's great because you get to make connections with your regulars, because it is like Cheers.
Yeah.
You walk in, you're like, "Hey, John, hey, Tony," everybody knows, and it makes it's kind of an atmosphere that you don't get at some of the other larger breweries
Warehouse
in town.
breweries and things like that. Yeah.
So people walk in and say, "Hey, Robert," and both of you guys turn around.
Yeah, a little bit sometimes.
Which one?
So we're drinking a lovely smelling pale ale right now, man.
My trusty llama. First of all, I love the name, by the way.
It's basically stolen from a fish song.
Cheers to fish.
Cheers
to
to
Trey. That's nice.
That's very nice.
So I get a really pleasant hoppiness, not so much a bitterness.
Right.
A lot of good hop flavor, fresh hop flavor, some delicate fruitiness coming from the fermentation and the malt. Very nicely done.
Thank you.
Love this
Yeah.
beer. This
Yes,
has everything beer drinkers want,
Right.
but it's also subtle enough for, people who want something refreshing.
Right.
Yeah, this is our
So-
next lightest beer,
Right.
which is probably the next step
So
in that gateway.
Talk about that gateway is like people are, they start off with that blonde. They're like, I really like blonde. I'm like, well, here, we give them a little sample of this. And they're like, I could drink that too. I don't
Yeah.
like hoppy beer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause-
And with that, like, I don't like hoppy beer. It's like, no, you will love hoppy beer. You don't
Yeah.
like bitter beer.
Right,
Yes.
and that's the people don't get because of the whole West Coast IPA thing that kind of ruined.
Time out. Pause.
Edit that part out.
I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. I'm sorry.
I'm not, and I talk with mine.
So that's kind of given the stigma to hoppy beers of being too hard to drink. And so this is the opposite.
And it comes across citrusy, slightly grapefruity. What variety is this?
We've got El Dorado and Citra, and
Okay.
a little bit of Amarillo in the front.
Very nice.
It's really good.
I like this.
I
could
really
drink
like
a lot of this.
that as soon as you take
have.
a drink, you get all of those flavors, but they don't necessarily stick around
Right.
on the tongue, and it makes you want to continue to drink more. And is that not the sign of a good beer? Is that it makes you
It
want to
is.
continue to drink
Yeah.
more?
It's a drinker.
Right? The one
Not
that leaves
really a
you wanting
sipper.
another sip. So you guys have a 7-barrel brew house.
Yes,
Yes.
I think that's a perfect size for a neighborhood brewery.
absolutely. We didn't want to go any smaller. I didn't want to be brewing 3 times a week.
How many beers do you normally have on tap?
We've got 8 on right now,
8.
but usually 9 or 10. Between 8 and 10, we're kind of.
That's
That's
a-
kind of where our sweet spot of beer storage and
Production.
production is.
And from the looks of what you guys brought today, you do everything in the range of like blonde all the way up to stouts and porters.
Right.
Yes, can we talk about how difficult it was to only pick 3 beers? Because you guys brought
That's-
such a great range.
That's why we brought 5.
I
instead.
love it. I love it.
I'm anxious to dive into that porter.
I know. Kind of going back to Lemon Grove, Bob, Robert, are you guys Lemon Grove boys? Is that where you're?
Nope.
No.
No,
Okay.
We live very close to there in San Carlos.
Okay.
Um,
Allied Gardens.
Yeah, but we're both East County guys. We
Yeah,
grew up in
born and
Fletcher
raised,
Hills
yeah.
and went to school in La Mesa, and so we're kind of from that
Yeah.
area
And
of
we
the
didn't
county.
want to commute.
Yeah.
Heard that. And you were saying that the building, it's a old Mexican restaurant,
It's
right?
the old Carnitas Europan building,
Okay.
for those of you Carnitas lovers.
Yeah. Are you offering food that's sort of Mexican? What's the food take? Or something for everybody, or
The food? We don't have food.
you don't have food?
No, it's an old
I
restaurant that
apologize, I
we ripped
didn't-
all of that out of.
Oh wow.
But we have restaurants on both sides of us, so we don't have to have food.
Can people get food and bring it in?
Absolutely, bring
Awesome.
it.
We encourage it.
We encourage
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And dog friendly?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
The dogs are where it's at.
Oh,
There's-
yeah.
I'm just, as someone who also works in a brewery, if like a dog comes in, I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah,
like,
you should see the bar staff when the dog comes in. They're like, "Hold on, I'll get your beer in a minute," and they go around and greet the dog.
every time, and it's like
Your beer can wait.
Yeah,
This
your
dog
beer
can-
can wait. I got to go see a dog.
And I assume you're family friendly as well.
Yes.
All right, so that's the way I always say, like, family friendly, dog enthusiast.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Is
Bring
your
the kids.
dog friendly?
Bring the kids if you must, but please bring the
Yes.
dogs.
Yes. Give or take the kids.
Right.
The dogs, bring them.
So you guys pulled the kitchen out to make more room for.
Well, we didn't want to have a restaurant. We're not restaurateurs.
It's a different
it is
game
a
altogether.
different monster.
Yep.
If we got into that, we would have to bring like restaurant people in.
Yeah.
And then a totally different licensing and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, we gutted the
Health
entire inside and renovated it to suit our needs. And so it is all new construction.
Ooh.
And
You should finish that so you can smell this because it smells delicious.
All right.
By the way.
Man, such peer pressure.
I know, right? I'm nervous. So I'm always curious, what was your life before opening 13 Point? Where did you guys come
Boring.
from? Where'd you
What
guys
was your
come from?
pedigree as a
What's
brewer?
your
Right in our garage.
really?
You guys
so
were
you went,
homebrewers.
We were
Yes,
homebrewers
homebrewers.
with the goal of being pro brewers.
That's amazing.
Not homebrewers that were homebrewers. We literally learned how to brew beer because of one fateful day at a
it was
beer
San Diego Beer Week.
the San Diego Beer Week.
And we're
like
talking
4
to some
years ago or so.
brewers down from Ballast Point, and
Pre-acquisition.
they just pre-acquisition, and they were talking about how they just get to sit around and play with yeast all day. I'm like, well, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, what?
Like that sounds like fun.
I've been
that-
working with
exactly.
my family for 30 years, and he's been, counting other people's money for 50 years.
Yes, I've been in manufacturing accountant for over 20 years.
Oh, so you're the numbers guy.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
and
God.
and brewing beer is a
I get to play with
manufacturing
yeast.
process.
Yep.
You take equipment and raw materials and you turn it into finished goods, and then you sell it.
So it seems like a brilliant idea because, one of the hardest things to do is do an art and then have somebody that knows numbers
Yeah.
and does that side of things because that's like the antithesis of each other. Like,
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you can't have one without the other, I guess, right? You got to
you kind of
have.
have to. It's one of the hardest things for people that are artistic or this to be able to think about the money side and sell stuff and
Yeah.
be that kind of
There's a
thing.
yin-yang
Right,
relationship.
because
So
I used to
how-
be a glass blower and I couldn't sell my stuff or anything. I was like, here, just take it.
So how did your guys' families react when you're like, hey, like we're gonna leave our jobs and we're gonna open a brewery?
Well, I still have my job
Family demands.
because I work with family and you
Ah,
can
ah.
never get away from them.
That will never end, my friend.
No, never.
My family was extremely supportive.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. And I've got my son and his fiance at work here at the brewery.
So it's all family run. It's all
And-
family run and operated, and
Yeah, we have a good time too.
that's really, really cool. Actually, you were saying that you were, pouring in the tasting room last night.
I was.
I think that when you see founders, owners, brewers who are working the tasting room, I think that shows a lot of behind the whole operation and really tells you all about it. Like, you guys are putting your everything into this, and you're
Yes.
not, you don't just hand this out, be like, hey, lock up when you're done.
I'm gonna go sit in my ivory tower and count the money. No, that's not us. We're getting dirty and we're.
Well, you guys seem to know what it's all about. I got told, I think probably 25 years ago, when I entered into this whole thing, that people will do business with people they know and like.
Yes.
Right? And you guys are the people that, other customers, guests see when they walk
Yeah.
in and they get to know you guys.
Yep.
You guys are likable guys. The beer's phenomenal.
Yep.
It's a cool, comfortable place.
Yes, it is. It
can
is
see-
a really good vibe in there. Yes.
There
Well,
it
let's
is.
cheers to that as we get into our last beer, the Old Nessie Porter.
All right.
Did I miss you?
Ooh, wow.
So Bob said he wanted to see my face
Yeah.
when I take a drink of this, so I'm really excited.
That's what I'm really excited we're getting this on camera.
I feel like there's so much pressure right now. All right.
So what are you getting?
So right off the nose,
Yep.
getting some
I'm
cocoa.
putting you on the spot.
I know.
Okay,
I
no,
feel-
cocoa is
I know.
good.
I feel really overwhelmed right now. I'm feeling some cocoa with like a hint in vanilla. Not a ton of vanilla, but there's a little splash in there.
I get both of those. I also get a little coffee. I haven't even tasted it yet. We're just nerding out on this.
Oh.
Yeah. See.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. You got that on camera.
Yeah, wow.
This is the face. Oh.
I like the
Oh!
viscosity, the mouthfeel. It's got a vanilla-like finish there that's slightly
Dude.
sweet.
I feel like we could go to the cold brew nitro that's in the 90 Mex kitchen right now and swap out that sixtel for a sixtel of this, and no one would ever know, and they'd be so much happier.
Right? The
would
morale
be
would like go
tired.
down.
The morale runner just
Morale would
shoot
go-
right through the roof.
Right
No,
through the
this is
Productivity might.
Drinks so easy.
Yes.
And each sip leaves you wanting another one. What's the ABV on this?
6.2.
6.2.
I'm not
Oh
darn.
my God, that's
Oh, you know what? I really want to make a beer float with this.
Okay.
Like real bad.
do that.
Like, oh, maybe go get some ice cream from Mariposa's.
Ooh,
Right?
wow. And these glasses would be good for that.
Oh yeah.
Just drop some
Put
ice
that
cream in
lump
there.
right in there.
This is a delicious beer, man.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
And I like how all of these elements, the coffee, the cocoa, the vanilla, all sort of play with each other in harmony, create this like symphony of flavors in your mouth.
This batch definitely turned out so phenomenal. Really stoked with it.
Yeah,
really
we were
good.
very happy.
I
with this beer.
also really love that, you know, we see a lot of beers come on Beer for Breakfast.
course.
And a big reason why I wanted to try this beer is I would say porter is one of the most infrequent beers that come on Beer for Breakfast. And even just seeing like out in the world, I
Right.
feel like I don't see a lot of porters. Can either of you give me a little insight as to why I don't see a lot
Because
of
people
porters?
sometimes drink with their eyes. They'll look at a beer like this
Oh,
and
it's
think,
so
oh
thick.
man, this looks like I just drained my crankcase or something. And it's going to be 10% ABV and it's going to be super bitter and roasty or whatever.
And too sweet and too something.
Whatever.
It's too everything in their eyes.
Right, but then they take a sip and they're going, oh my God, cocoa and vanilla.
This is so good.
And some coffee.
This
This
is
is
a
where you
perfect-
just have to hand people a little taster and go, hey,
And we
like,
do,
just give it a
you know,
try.
especially for the, oh, I don't really drink beer. Hold on.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun when you're able to do that? Someone who
Yeah.
comes in and says, hey, like, I don't like this kind of beer. And you're like, well, hold on, wait a second.
And what about the people who come in and say, I drink wine. Do you have any wine? No. I'm not a winery.
Sorry, friend.
But try this.
Right,
Right.
but try this.
We get that with their IPAs too. I don't normally drink IPAs, but this one's really good. Or
Yes.
that one's really, yeah. So we
And
get that a lot as well.
For those wine drinkers, we just made a Berliner Weiss with Fort Penny House.
Looking at you.
There it is.
And hopefully that should be out in a couple weeks.
Sweet. So, you know, kind of looking to the future a little bit, you know, what do we have to look forward to from 13 Point Brewing? I know I put you on the
Wow,
spot. I know. I didn't prep you on this at all. It just popped into my
You're
head.
just getting off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna
Yeah.
like dominate the world.
We're just
We
kinda-
haven't
riding.
even distributed anything yet.
Yep.
All of what we do right now is
Absolutely.
in-house. So in the future, we will probably leak a few kegs out there into the world, restaurants and bars. And we hope to, at some point, do some canning as well.
So for those of us that have, you know, not made the trip to Lemon Grove yet, why do we need to make the trip to Lemon Grove to come to 13 Point Brewing? What am I going to get at 13 Point that, you know, maybe I won't get someplace
take
else?
Crowlers
This
home.
porter.
You can take Crowlers home. You can get this porter that you're not going to get anywhere else.
No, I'm
And they
really
get to
impressed.
hobnob and rub elbows with these guys.
Yes,
Sure.
and we have a really good space. We have patio out on our space, and Lemon Grove is the best climate on earth. That is their
According to the city.
yeah, that's their slogan. Best climate on earth.
It's right there on the
So-
lemon when you get
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
There's no lemon groves left, but
So
the private ones.
Well, this is really, really awesome. Bob, Robert, thank you so much for
Yes.
coming on Beer for Breakfast.
thanks for having us.
I'm super stoked out to see the future for you guys because I think that it is going to be very, very bright. I'm
I agree.
blown away by
Awesome.
what came in today.
Yes.
I kind of don't even know what to say because I was not expecting, like, your guys' standards and your beers are so solid. I would not expect this from a brewery that just recently opened up earlier
Right,
this
there's
year.
usually like a growth phase. You know, people like, you know, they stay back for a little while, make sure you guys iron out all the kinks, make sure all the recipes kind of get tweaked and dialed in. And
We had a prominent brewer from one of San Diego's larger breweries.
You know that one guy?
come
That
in.
one dude.
Well,
Looking at you, Cece.
looking at you, Ryan. And he came in and ordered a flight of everything that we had on tap at the time, which I think was only 5 or 6 beers. And he came in and he said, I'm not going to blow smoke up your skirt, but usually when I go into a new brewery, there's usually a beer I have to spit out. But I can't find anything wrong with any of your beers.
That's so
And
amazing.
he's been, what, a brewmaster for like
Yeah.
12 years or
Yeah.
however long he's been doing it over there. And we had just started brewing like commercially a few months before that. So it was a huge compliment.
Dude,
hear
I'm
stuff
so
like
stoked
that.
for you guys. I'm
Yes.
so stoked. I'm really glad that I found you two early. 'Cause
Yeah.
You know what? Just throw this out there. I kind of see a Burgeon situation right here.
Oh, we need a lab guy then.
Lab guy out there looking at you.
Looking at you, lab
Well,
guy.
Bob, Robert,
The lab is right here.
Yes.
precisely. Thank you guys so much for making the trip up here to 91.
Absolutely.
Greatly
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Much continued success to you
Yes.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us on.
Thanks for coming on.
And remember, every Friday morning, Paul comes onto the Moog Show around 9:05 to tell you, as well as Moog, what he and you should be drinking this weekend.
Straight up.
We're going to be talking some 13 Point Brewing, so
That's right.
we will try beers that we did not try on ABV, so you do not want to miss Beer for Breakfast on Friday morning. Thank you, and cheers to independent craft beer.
Cheers.
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 91X.